Warhol whispers the deep superficial. Don't think about it, making art. Just get it done, let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it. While they are deciding, make even more art. That's the quote from him. I changed, Andy Warhol, I mean. Over the years of paraphrasing, and I turned it into this. Make art, and while everyone says it sucks, make more art. I kind of like my version better, ironically, the Xerox. So very Warhol of me, you could even say. The other one I think about from him is this. Being good in business is the most fascinating kind of art. Making money is art, and working is art, and good business is the best art. That one, over the years, got paraphrased into this. Making money is the ultimate art. I mean, these were accidental paraphrases, but they just sort of, I started quoting them over and over again. It was like a whisper to myself, misquoting Warhol, kind of like making him a little tighter, but anyway. The other one from him that sets up my thesis is I am a deeply superficial person. Interesting use and placement of the word deeply in that, or deep next to superficial. Deep superficial, deep superficial encapsulates what Warhol was about, and in that order. He was so deep that he posed as superficial, and his art was an ecstatic expression of both. A student of Duchamp who became Armut and put a urinal on a museum wall. Art is what we say it is, and these characters, particularly Warhol, can be an excellent approach for turning the urinal that is social media into something worthy of a museum wall. Art is what we say it is, and marketing, controversy, and volume can become engines for artistic output and birth you into revolutionizing the superficial forms we are inundated with into something deep. A soup can or a toilet, and social media's stranglehold on artists, creative and business alike, people alike. Warhol liked going out and getting in the gossip columns. He walked around NYC with a camera asking to take everyone's picture. Can I take your picture? It was rumored that there was never any film in it at all. He was ahead of his time on every level, so one wonders what his approach to social media would be had he been in his prime during these days. What would Warhol's approach to TikTok, for instance, be? I don't know really, but I doubt he would have ignored it or followed convention. He would have elevated it to something deeply superficial, with deep being capitalized. Nirvana in the 90s ushered in the pose of accidental super famous genius who resented all the attention they just happened to get. If you were seen to market yourself in those days, your credibility was on thin ice. Though pretending you didn't care or weren't trying was the marketing campaign they were launching, nobody looked into it that deeply, and we were still under the old system of being discovered by a greedy manager or label who made you into a star, seemingly against your will. Back then, if you had a video get played on MTV and a song added to the radio playlist, you became successful and could enter the realm of your creativity, taking you to the mountaintop of financial sovereignty. So then it was important to be connected to gatekeepers, for they really did hold the keys to the kingdom, at least superficially. On a deeper level, it's always about the work and a vital connection to an audience, but that was how you mostly found an audience back then, or at least that was the illusion everyone was living under. This afforded you the ability to pretend you yourself was resisting all this from the inside, and even early deaths and drug overdoses were blamed on industry over the artist's own ambivalence about their own life and taking care of it. Interestingly, Warhol got blamed for the deaths that occurred around him as well, Edie Sedgwick and Basquiat. So the thread that the openly ambitious usher in death of the artist has been a narrative our culture has propelled for years. Ambition has always been a double-edged sword and looked at suspiciously and often as a dramatic hedge against credibility. Newer generations have let go of that false dichotomy now that social media is really the only pathway into humanity's collective consciousness at this point. You are your own gatekeeper now, and the guard at the door of that gate is your fantasy about other people's judgments of what you do or how much you do and the way that you do it. To be an artist now, if you want to survive and make an impact in this attention economy, means your participation and effort can no longer be hidden. You can't really be the unwitting genius who accidentally got famous anymore. Oh no, don't make me famous, I'm a genius. Because to be an artist now means your genius has to not only thrive in your work, but also in the marketing of that work through the vortex of social media. My friend Keith Thomas told me labels don't sign artists anymore, they sign fan bases. And this makes sense because they know that building a following online is the key to success, and no gatekeeper can do that for you. No one else is going to do it for you. So if you're an artist out there and you haven't built that base, why would they take a chance on a hope that you will do that in the future when so many artists have achieved it in the here and the now? The answer is they wouldn't. And yet, the discovery hangover still looms over many artists ahead. And they misunderstand the marketing channels before them. I do too. We all do. We're all learning it. This is where Warhol comes back in the concept of art as volume or volume as art. Keith Thomas also informed me that to get a response from the TikTok algorithm, one had to post there 5 times a day. What? When you first hear that, if you were taking what you consider a sane approach to social media, this just strikes you as absurd, embarrassing, and shocking even. It runs so counter to the 90s ambivalence clause that effort in marketing yourself is embarrassing and the destroyer of credibility, that to traverse the gap of those philosophies seems a bridge too far. But if we view social media's current landscape and equate it to early pop music of the 50s, lollipop, lollipop, boop, pop, a lollipop, superficial and cute, we can assume the spirit of Warhol to our approach. We can insert the word deep in front of the word superficial, and we can see a world of opportunity suddenly opening up in front of us. We need not let the form instruct us, but we can instruct the form and elevate it into being a wildly inspiring force. The Beatles, for instance, of social media have not yet arrived. The Hendrix isn't here yet, neither is the Bob Dylan. We're still in lollipop, 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 lollipop. You can judge the current landscape so severely that you remove your participation in it, or you can realistically assess the situation and bend the form to your will, which is always the job of the revolutionary and innovative artist. Make stuff, and while everyone says it sucks, make more stuff. Warhol got slaughtered by critics in his early attempts at shows. Do not pay attention to responses, for innovation is what counts, and innovation always gets harangued by the audience of its day. The mob leans in, so lean into volume rather than being embarrassed by it, and turn volume itself into a kind of art form. These are things I'm instructing myself to do, by the way, not telling you to do it from on high, but rather in the trenches with you, about to traverse a new landscape, and just sharing a motivational state of mind and an insight I had about Warhol. Andy Warhol, silver screen, nothing to say at all. Don't bend yourself to the form by copying the styles of what is popular, which will lead to acceptance under current structures, but rather be awkward and tedious and a pathway for innovation. Warhol made a film called Sleep and simply filmed a man sleeping for hours, but he also made the soup can, both slow and boring and fast and explosive. There is room in these current structures for innovation and invention, and plenty of it. And in an attention economy, you have to go where the attention is. But you don't have to play by all the rules. Persistence is key, and overcoming the fear of judgment and the fact that when you first start to build, you will have to make embarrassing levels of effort into what looks like a whirlwind of failure. Hello, Mom. But if you can overcome the phantoms of other people's supposed judgment and ignore immediate results, there is room to make actual art here. Something deeply superficial. Make stuff, and while everyone says how much it sucks, make more stuff. TikTok is the toilet on the new museum wall.